I have got a beautiful guest speaker with me, which is Bree, a sacred intimacy facilitator and embodiment coach. She has been immersed in the field of psychosomatics, trauma, mindset, and adult relationships for over 25 or 26 years. And she is deeply passionate about helping feminine women heal their relationships to masculine men. And she also helps women heal their relationship to pleasure and sensuality. I have recently met and connected with her at the Tantra Festival or event that happened in Australia. So I'm very excited and welcome to the podcast.
Welcome. We had a big taste of love, didn't we?
Yes. I had no idea. Like, it was my first Taste of Love festival. And when I left the festival, I was like, yeah, I got a taste of love.
Yeah.
Now I know why
the love
name.
lingers. The love lingers.
Before we're going to get into this episode, I usually ask a couple starter questions so we can get to know our guest speakers. Where are you currently at on your own self-love and pleasure journey?
It's a very big question. Well, I would say I've come a long way because for such a long time, I didn't really have a lot of access to my pleasure. And that's partly why I'm in this work now, because I had my own challenges with what I thought was low libido, but really I wasn't in my body and I didn't know how to connect to my breath and get out of my head. And so now I would say I'm in the best place I've ever been in relation to this. Right now, it's 2 weeks after the Taste of Love Festival, and I'm still feeling that bliss, that openness, that erotic connection. There's a lot of playfulness in me. I do a lot of personal practices with pleasure, but I also like to play in the kink world and BDSM kind of, merging the dark and the light is often how I think about it. So, I could go on. Is that enough? Or do you want me to keep going?
Whatever you want to share. I love that. I still feel like I've like something changed while I was at that festival. So it kind of like cracked open a little portal, and I feel like I want to bring more of that juiciness into like my daily life and also spread more of that, obviously. So I can relate to that. What brings you the most pleasure?
Music is definitely one thing that brings me a lot of pleasure, like because I use it to connect with myself, to a lot of practices that I do are initiated by certain kinds of music or certain kinds of breath, touching myself. Time in nature is probably something else that brings me a lot of pleasure, and really, really good cacao. I love dark chocolate and ceremonial cacao, and amazing sex, of course, like that.
Yeah.
Maybe it goes without saying.
Combine it all.
All of it together is pretty special. Yeah.
Yeah. How about we talk about Tantra and how tantric practices can actually deepen your self-love and open yourself up for more pleasure? Before we're going to get into that, can you explain to us what Tantra is to you and how you got into, experimenting and practicing Tantra practices?
Again, that's a really long conversation. What Tantra is to me is it's a really interesting thing. It's hard to define. One of my teachers, she actually says no one knows what Tantra is. And I really resonate with that because I'm cautious to put it into a box, but if I was to try to give a taste, I would say that it is the merging of a spiritual experience in our bodies, not a spiritual experience where we're out of our bodies and we're meditating, but when we're in our body and we're feeling our body and our sexuality. So it's the aliveness of life moving through our physical bodies in every moment. It's the merging of everything. So Tantra talks a lot about the dualities of life and the sacredness of life, and that everything is sacred. The everyday, the mundane, our pleasure is sacred, creational practices are sacred, food, so people think it's about sex, but it's just more that it includes sexuality. But it's a big part about liberating ourselves too. So yeah, I don't know how to define it, to be honest. It's very energetic, but it's very big. It's very, very big.
I recently, on a dating app, I had a similar question because it's like, what do you do? And one thing leads to the next. And I'm like, oh, speaking about the Tantra Festival that I'm going, oh, what is Tantra? And I'm like, oh my God, like, how am I going to explain that via text message?
Yeah.
So, and I just said the same. And I always say that it's really also depending on who you asking, what kind of transformation have they gone through. And everybody has a slightly different explanation and description for Tantra. So, but I always like to ask that because it kind of gives an idea where someone is on their own journey with Tantra and gaining all these different perspectives and descriptions. It just confirms how widely and open that is.
If it is like a religion in the sense that it's not indoctrinating, but it is very it's been around for a very long time. The teachings come from the Tao as well, and so there's this ancient history of sacred practices and understanding of the energetic capacities of our body, which is why it's so powerful when we bring it to sexuality. And so that's something that a lot of people seek Tantra out for, but there's a lot more to it. There's the philosophy, there's the welcoming of the parts of ourselves that we hate and despise and fear, what we often term shadow work, and also being comfortable with the parts of us that are angry and wild and, not just sweet and sacred. And so there's just so much. And so understanding that it's really not just one thing is probably a good place to start, to be open-minded about what we think it is and isn't. Because, my teacher can't even tell me what it is.
I believe it's like the oneness and like it's just the connection of it all, the mindfulness, the consciousness, but also the energetic part, because that's how I discovered it and wanted to explore more, because I'm an energetic erotic blueprint.
Yeah.
And just with that energy play, I was like, oh, this looks interesting. I think Tantra would be really good for that.
Yes.
And it just hit that right nerve with that one.
Yes, it is. And in that kind of a blueprint, Tantra is such a beautiful fit because it gives us skills and tools to access the energetic centers of our body, that whether it's the sexual center and the heart center and all the other ones, and using breath and awareness to open them more versus closing and running away from the things that are there. So, but it is also kink, it is also, and so it's magical. It's all inclusive.
Yoga, breath, meditation. It was a time that I also did my yoga trainer certificate, and I also did my sex coaching certificate. So it all came together, and I'm like, this is all it.
So yoga is a practice, like a tantric practice. So there's embodiment aspects, there's yogic practices, there's breath practices, there's rituals. So they're all pieces that fit under the umbrella of Tantra, and sexuality kind of merges through all of them.
Yeah. So how did you get into that?
I came to Tantra through David Deida. So if you've not heard of David Deida, I've got a few books here of his. I'm just wondering if I should grab one. But David Deida is quite well known in the tantric world. So probably 25 years ago, approximately, I came to some of his teachings. He talks a lot about masculine and feminine, and he was one of the really, really early teachers of these concepts. And then a number of people have started to come in and advance the concepts that he's taught, some of whom are my teachers now. And so I came to his work when I was in my long-term partnership, and I was looking for more. How do I feel more pleasure? I want to have sex was not satisfying me. So how do I really start to access some of this? And also understanding relational dynamics. So he talked about all of that in his books. The Way of the Superior Man is a great book for men by David Deida. And he has a number of books for women as well, like for everyone as well as for women. So that's a good starting point. So that kind of opened my world up, and all of a sudden I was wanting to understand more about men and women, how they relate. And then I went down all kinds of 25 years of rabbit holes, essentially, of looking at, what is it? But the thing I found is the books were amazing, but the main challenge I had is I couldn't translate everything that a book talked about into my real life. And so it took quite a long time for me to start to find teachers that were doing things here in Australia that I could study with. And when I started to go to in-person experiences and in-person workshops and trainings, that was when what I would term the tantric experience for me actually started to change. And I actually was in my body. Reading a book didn't do it for me, but the experiential guidance really helped me to start to access some of those deeper parts, because I trained as a clinical hypnotherapist. So I spent a lot of time in my head,
Oh.
a lot of time in my head way back. And so learning how to use breath and awareness and presence and come back into the body, because pleasure is always in the body. I mean, that's one of the key teachings that I have taken from the tantric philosophies is pleasure's always here. We don't have to look for it. We don't have to force it. We don't have to even turn it on. It's just there. Sometimes there's just layers of stress and tension that is sitting on the top and getting in the way of us feeling it. And that was very much my reality back then. You know, it was young child, long-term partner, all the things and responsibilities. And until I could learn to get out of my head and come back into the pleasure that was here now, whether it was eating some beautiful food or the wind on my face or learning how to have lovemaking that was more than just 10 minutes, you know, like all of those things were really, really important to me. And I was thirsty for it and I was begging for it. So it took a long time for me to find the right teachers to get to the point where I am now, where I can confidently share all the mistakes I've made and all the challenges I've had and the things that have worked for me with people who want to hear from me or learn from me. So, yeah. Does that answer your question?
I can definitely say there is a total different experience to like solo self pleasure, but also partner pleasure when you really combine the breath, the eye gazing. It's like some really beautiful practices. It just makes it so much more intense because it does help to step into the body space and not thinking about what do I have to do later? What do I have to cook for dinner? When do I have to pick up the kids?
Yeah.
No, it's like I'm here, I'm looking at that person, I'm breathing, or even looking at myself and feeling myself. And it just like makes it so delicious. So what would you say, how can tantric practices help with self-love and pleasure?
So many ways, really. I mean, so often, most people watching this would be women. Is that right?
Oh, I've got a mix.
Lots of men, yeah.
Men as well.
I think the thing I find most women struggle with is being in their heads. When men come to pleasure, they seem to be able to switch out of their heads into their bodies quite fast. But for us as women, we can kind of pop in and out. And so, you know, like really, really simple things we can start to do is just to come back into the physical body. And usually how I teach that is through breath. So just taking a breath and actually opening our mouth and letting the sound come out and feeling what that does in the body. It's like, oh, my shoulders just relaxed and my belly feels more calm and, oh, my back's a bit sore or, you know, but noticing the sensations in the body moment by moment. It's it's essentially a simple meditative practice, but to stay in it is hard. And so learning to come back when we go into our head, hang on, where is my body now? Take a breath, put our hands on it, come back in. What does it want now? What does it need now? How do I want to move? What sound do I want to make? What do I want to ask for? Am I tired? Do I need sleep? Do I need water? All these things can help us train ourselves into awareness, which then translates into pleasure. Because if we're coming in and out of the body and going into the mind, it's hard to really be in that oneness that you refer to, like that expansive self that is not just the body, it includes the body, but the whole broader self that we are starts to kick in when the mind lets go. And for me, that's when the most magical experiences of pleasure happen, when I'm completely in the moment.
Yeah.
And the body brings us into the moment, which is why the body is always the key back. The mind can't think us there, but the body can take us there. It's like, oh.
You're functioning, but you aren't feeling. You hold it all together. Your life, career, motherhood, relationships, and you keep pushing through. You keep managing, doing one thing and another thing, people pleasing, a life on autopilot. And underneath all of it, you ask yourself, Is that really it? Is that what's life supposed to be? Your mind rarely stops. You keep overthinking. Your sleep is broken. Your digestion is off. And rest makes you feeling uncomfortable. That is your nervous system stuck in survival state. Your body has forgotten how to feel safe, how to soften, how to receive, how to feel good. And what's missing is not more effort. What's missing is pleasure, somatic pleasure. I am Patricia, an ED/DV survivor, a former nurse, mother, a pleasure explorer, and an award-winning educator in somatic pleasure. I am the founder of Pleasure Lit. My trauma-informed somatic pleasure approach blends nervous system regulation, tantra, sexuality, breathwork, yoga, meditation, identity shift, and feminine embodiment. And if this sparked something inside of you, join us within the Pleasure Lit Woman program, which is my 8-week group program, helping you from functioning to feeling radiant, regulated, and deliciously turned on. You're also invited to join us within the Pleasure Lit Circle, which is my online community membership for women, where we have got live calls, somatic practices, resources, masterclasses, and so much more. You can also explore my self-paced online courses all around pleasure and follow along Patricia's Pleasure Ed for more pleasure tips, and if you like to submit your questions. When you prefer reading, you can get my #1 bestseller book, The Pleasure Lit Way. And if you like more personalized support, book yourself in for a one-on-one coaching session. For more details and how to join it all, go to pleasurelit.com. The beginner, someone who's now listening and is like, oh my God, I think I need to learn more about Tantra and I want to bring some tantric practices in, but not with a partner yet, just solo practice. Would you say like breath would be like the first practice, or what would be a practice that you can recommend to someone solo to just start exploring?
So I would definitely say that one, just coming back to one, noticing, where am I? Where is my body now? And what's happening in my body? Taking a breath and feeling that. 2, then what does my body want to express? So it could be, oh, I'm feeling a bit playful, but I'm washing the dishes right now. I can't go and be playful. I have chores to do. So giving ourselves permission to enjoy what is there in the moment. So it could be as simple as standing at the sink doing the dishes and swirling our hips, and just feeling the juiciness of the body. So trying to be in the sensations, because the more we teach ourselves to stay in that for longer, the less we come back up into our heads. So it's extending our awareness of how long we can comfortably stay in the body. So a really simple practice is something like that, really doing the everyday chores, but being in the body. So am I vacuuming the house on road? Am I driving to work on road? Am I sitting at the computer on road? Or am I going, what does my body actually need? Take a breath. Oh, it needs this. Oh, I need a hug. And so that attunement, that's where we start to get access to our energetic capacity, which enhances our pleasure. I know it sounds simple, but it actually is not easy to do all the time, because we have all these things that make us want to come out of our body into our mind or distract ourselves. The world kind of perpetuates that. And for a lot of people that I talk to, pleasure is something that they do just to take the stress off or take the edge off, versus having, like, walking around in pleasure all the time is very different to, I had an orgasm, I feel more relaxed, I can go to sleep. And now I'm stressed again all day until the end of the day, and then I can, have another moment of pleasure. But what if you could move as pleasure? So that's another practice. How would I move if I was in pleasure? So it can be just like, I'm stalking around the house like a cheetah or a cat or a panther or a lion, and I'm feeling like the primalness of that in my body, because again, then when I'm in my body, there's pleasure in the body. And so moving from that place and like enjoying it and letting ourselves make the sounds with it, and trying to stay connected to it more often than not. And then if we lose it, coming back.
I love that practice tip, because I still catch myself now and then to just do a task to just get it done, because I'm like, oh, I've got all these things to do. And
Yeah.
like you just mentioned with the dishes, I recently had the same with vacuuming or dishes. Can't remember what it was, but I was there. I'm like, why am I rushing this to like just
Yeah.
get it done? Why not put on the music? Why am I
Yeah.
not enjoying myself while I'm doing it? Because I can feel myself getting in this instead of like, all right, let's do the dishes. Let's have some fun with that.
Yes. Yes.
Be in that pleasure moment.
I can make a mess with the bubbles and
Yeah. Or feel the bubbles and all that
just,
feels
yep.
good. And when the right song comes on, I
Mm-hmm.
might take that towel, slap my butt, like, or just like do a wiggle, just enjoy myself. And it's so much better.
Yes.
And even if that takes like 5-10 minutes longer, I'm enjoying myself. And that
Yes.
pleasure continues to get over into the rest of the day. It's
It
just so
does.
beautiful.
And that's something that I had to teach myself to do, which I think makes such a difference in that example, is it's okay for it to take longer.
Yeah.
Pleasure can't be rushed. It's like, no, we can go quickly. I can quickly turn myself on and I'm going to have a great orgasm. Actually, that's the complete opposite of what the body needs to have a great orgasm or to feel relaxed enough to go into pleasure. So taking an extra 5 minutes is definitely, in my experience, I'm always going slower and slower and slower now versus I used to be when I was disconnected from my pleasure, fast and stressed. And I know a lot of people would relate to that. It's so common. So giving ourselves permission to, I'm only going to be 5 minutes late. It's okay to go slow, take a breath, enjoy my breakfast, or enjoy the sound of that bird outside, or look at the sun, or feel my body as I moisturize my body while I get dressed. Like that's a beautiful practice I was doing this morning.
I love that.
Lavishing ourselves with touch.
Yes, I'm trying to like really slow down more as well, and because I'm also doing professional female domination right now as well, that also helps to actually slow down because with that we are slowing down.
Yes.
We are focusing on what we're really doing right now, and it includes much more talking as well about like, oh yeah, this is what we're doing right now. This is what we're going to do, but not rushed and like full focus and using all the senses. Oh, this is now what you see. It's just like, I'm like, wow, you can feel so much in just that moment of like 5 minutes slowing down and just being present.
It can be such a turn on too. In any environment, the slowing down of the talking can be such an arousing thing versus quick, we need to rush through it to get it done to go to the fun thing. Well, can't this be fun? Like, what if I did this to you? How do you feel about that? How does your body like that idea? It's all foreplay.
Yeah.
It's another way to see it when we slow down.
And like you said, pleasure is within us. It's already there. It's accessible. We're just going to have to like, take off the layers and like really just open ourselves to that up. This is why I like to call others now pleasure beings. Hello, pleasure beings.
Pleasure beings.
I like saying that because we are actually pleasure beings. We're just going to have to like take the layers off. When someone is now at that stage where they might want to do a practice with a partner, what would be a beginner practice or something that you could recommend with a partner?
There's so many. I guess it depends on the nature of the relationship. I feel like really being mindful with touch is a really, really important place to start. And so the way I teach this in some of my workshops is before you touch someone, feel into them. So let's say you're interacting with your partner it doesn't have to be in a sexual moment, although it can be, but it applies in all situations. Kind of sensing, putting your hand out and sensing what does their body want before we physically make the contact. So getting that energetic awareness first, trying to listen to them, and then trying to feel through our body so that we're feeling what we're touching. Because sometimes we can touch like this, like that patting, like, it's a quick hug, that kind of stuff. Well, no, that's not actually activating all of the senses, and we're not fully in our body. So whether we're giving to someone or receiving in any kind of a partner exchange, being present with what we're giving or what we're receiving this is where we slip into the void of time, where we slip into the void of two separate bodies and magic starts to happen. That is what people seek from a tantric perspective. It's not something that you can make happen, but slowing down and feeling, oh, how does their skin feel under my hand as I'm running it down their chest or their arm, taking a breath and going 50% slower with your touch than you would normally go. That is a super simple beginner practice, which again can completely change your entire sex life. People still tell me that's changed their lives, going 50% slower and really being connected to your touch and breathing. That's 3 things in one practice.
you can feel so much more when you actually go slower and actually feel and sense into it.
Yeah.
Love that tip. And also, I feel like when we can suggest without the sexual intention behind it, just touch.
Yes.
And there's one receiver, one giver, and then we can swap it around. But in that moment, just ease into like receiving or just giving and just focusing on the feeling, the sensation of the touch. Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
I'm a big fan of the 3-minute game. Possibly you've covered that before, but that's such a great entry-level point for people to try. Well, what's it like if I give and don't have to give back for 3 minutes? And can I receive that? And then can I give with a full heart, with really present, loving touch? It's transformational.
Definitely. Love that one too. Where could people find you if they want to work with you?
Well, I'm on Insta, I'm on Facebook, and I have a website. They're probably the best places to find me if people are interested in getting in touch with me.
What's your website?
It's my name, breetaylormolyneux.com.au.
Awesome. Do you have a favorite pleasure toy? And if so, would you be able to share what it is?
So I love crystal wands. Mm-hmm. I have a jade egg. Have I got more? No, I've just got one jade egg, but I'm really loving my wands at the moment. I do a lot of de-armoring.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I don't have a sexual partner at the moment. And so I do a lot of de-armoring with myself, and I find that helps me to stay really relaxed and open and soft in myself. And so I couldn't do that without my wands. I love them because they can take me to places that I can't reach myself. So I have a beautiful cervix serpent wand that I use for de-armoring, and a black obsidian wand that it's like a super thick one for like width and depth. I wish I had it to show you. So they're my 2 favorites at the moment. That's for sure.
Obsidian is a strong crystal for some really deeper work.
Yeah.
Do you have any favorite pleasure wear? Anything that feels you, like brings you pleasure when you wear it? A certain fabric or style?
Silky things. I bought myself a few silk bathrobes recently.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and so instead of just I've got a bamboo bathrobe for winter, and then I have the silk one that I'm wearing because it's almost summer here in Queensland, and I just loved. I spent actually nearly all of yesterday in that when I wasn't naked, and just the sensations on the skin. I love that too.
It runs over the skin.
Yeah, it's just so beautiful. Yeah, that's definitely a texture that I really, really love.
You've already mentioned a couple book recommendations. Do you have any others for the audience?
Yeah, I have this one that I got out. I don't know if you can actually probably read it in the light, but it's called Tantric Orgasm for Women by Diana
I've got
Richardson.
That one too.
This was, I think, the first book I bought, when I was looking at Tantra for myself, because it talks about the different types of orgasm, clitoral, G-spot, cervical, and then breasts, and then anal, and then throat. I don't know if she actually talks about all those, but there's so many types of orgasms. But for me, that was really, really powerful to start to understand that and understand how the energy moves in a female body and how to work with some of those beautiful tantric concepts, as a beginner point. So, I think that's my top recommendation for actually everybody. If men want to understand women's bodies better and women want to understand their own bodies better.
Love that. What is your number one tip for self-love or pleasure for the audience?
I guess I want to reference it back to myself because this is the thing that changed it's hard to pick one thing, but it's one of the biggest things that changed things for me. And I still see a lot of people benefiting from this, and it's learning to be our own best lover. And so what that means to me is making time to connect with our own body, even if you have a partner, because sometimes when we're in partnership, we can be so focused on sexual intimacy together. I teach emotional intimacy and sexual intimacy. So it's particularly sexual intimacy that we need to get it from our partner, and we can't touch ourselves or pleasure ourselves or explore our own bodies sexually or not. But I would really invite everybody, regardless of their relationship status, to learn how to connect with their own body and learn what they like on their own. So, for women, that can be using a wand and doing practices and even touching your own vulva and your thighs and learning what you like when someone's not doing it to you, because you'll probably find, I did lots of places that I didn't really know how to support someone in touching me the way I liked until I knew how to guide them and say, could you slow this down? Could you do more of this? This feels really good for me. I had to really explore that myself, and I didn't for a long time. But the same for men. I would encourage men to really make time to self-pleasure. And if you want an advanced practice, self-pleasure without release. So really letting yourself bask, and that's a very tantric concept, bask in stroking your lingam, stroking your thighs, your belly, your balls, and just letting everything be juicy and expanded and moving the energy through your body, but not having to get to the point of release, and letting yourself feel the fullness of that energy, because then you can take that to your partner. But having time, even if it's just once a week, to be with ourselves in self-touch, even if it's not sexual, some kind of loving self-touch, is something I would recommend that everybody does, because we all need it, and it's not useful to always outsource it to somebody else.
Yes. I mean, I'm a huge advocate for that. Being single for a few years now, and this is like how I explored myself again and just really found so many yummy, delicious things that I love, and now be able to actually communicate that and have so much more pleasure. So yes.
Yeah, it's so important, isn't it? I mean, for me, I couldn't communicate what I liked to someone. I couldn't try new things. I couldn't explore fantasies until I even knew what I did and didn't like. And so that was a big starting point for me. And everyone's going to be where they are, but giving ourselves permission to still touch ourselves versus going, it's my partner's job, or I'm single, so I just have to be, lonely and closed down. And that's not true. If you're single, it's not. You can really give yourself loving touch, and you can get platonic connection and hugs and other things from people in the meantime as well. But really knowing how to fill our own cup, I think, is one of the most important things, because then we don't interact with people sexually just because we need an itch scratched. We do it for the right reasons. I mean, and my right reasons are going to be different to everybody else's, but the things that really are honoring for us when it comes to our sexuality. And so it's a big topic.
And like you said, we are pleasure is within us, and pleasure is our birthright.
Yeah.
And we have that right no matter our gender, sexual orientation, relationship dynamic.
We shouldn't ever be devoid of it, meaning it's always at our fingertips. Even if it's laying out in the sun and just like the sun's kissing my skin, I can get so much pleasure from that too. Swimming naked in the creek, all of these things bring pleasure regardless of our sexual interactions, but letting us have both, I think, for me. We are pleasure-seeking beings, made for pleasure, made to experience life.
Are we going to leave that episode with that saying? Thank you so much for coming onto the podcast.
So welcome. Can I share something?
Yes, sure.
I have a free taster on my website if anyone would. It's in the links that I gave you. So if you would like to try some of the practices that I teach or learn more about how I work, you can jump on there and get about 4 hours worth of free content. So please come visit.
Go check that out.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
I would love to hear from you what has resonated the most with you from this episode. You can leave us a comment down below. And when you like this episode, make sure you follow and subscribe to the show, give it a 5-star rating, and also share it along so we can spread more pleasure into this world. You can access my free workshop at pleasurelit.com/links. Sending you lots of love and pleasure. Mwah.